Augusta National, April 14th, 1997. The morning mist clings to the perfectly manicured fairways as golf's most hallowed tournament prepares for its final round. 21-year-old Tiger Woods stands on the first tee, his red shirt a stark contrast against the emerald backdrop, poised to make history. But beneath the pristine surface of professional golf's genteel facade, tensions simmer like a pot about to boil over. The young phenom who burst onto the scene with unprecedented dominance has already begun ruffling feathers in ways the sport has never witnessed. Tiger Woods didn't just change golf.
There you go.
He disrupted it so completely that established players found their comfortable world turned upside down. The kid who could outdrive legends and outthink veterans became the target of whispered resentments and barely concealed animosity. Who were the players that Tiger couldn't stand? Which golf legends found themselves on the wrong side of the most dominant athlete in sports history? The answers reveal a side of professional golf that few ever see. The first name on Tiger's list might surprise you. Colin Montgomerie, the Scottish golfer known for his meticulous approach and fiery temperament, became an early target of Tiger's competitive fury. Their rivalry began innocuously enough during Tiger's amateur days, but it quickly escalated into something much deeper. At the 1997 Masters, Montgomerie made comments to the press about Tiger's youth and inexperience. He suggested that the pressure of leading a major championship
Again, that's right rough, but okay.
would eventually catch up to the young American. Those words would prove to be spectacularly ill-timed, as Tiger went on to win by a record 12 strokes. But wait, who else dared to question the rising star's mental fortitude? The locker room whispers began immediately after Tiger's historic victory. Montgomerie's public criticism had backfired so dramatically that other players took notice. Tiger, however, never forgot the slight. In subsequent encounters, their interactions grew increasingly frosty. When they were paired together in tournaments, the tension was palpable. Tiger's caddy, Steve Williams, later revealed that his boss would specifically target Montgomerie during practice rounds, making subtle comments designed to get under the Scotsman's skin. The psychological warfare was subtle but effective. Montgomerie, once one of Europe's most confident players, began showing visible signs of frustration whenever Tiger was in his vicinity. The breaking point came during the 2006 Ryder Cup. Tiger's intensity reached new heights as he went head-to-head with Montgomerie in singles play. The match became less about golf and more about personal vindication. Tiger's 2-1 victory felt more like a statement than a simple tournament win. Sergio Garcia represents perhaps the most complex relationship on Tiger's hatred list. Their rivalry began with mutual respect, but deteriorated into one of golf's most bitter feuds. Garcia, the young Spanish sensation, was initially seen as Tiger's European counterpart, a player who could match his flair and competitive fire. The turning point came at the 1999 PGA Championship. Garcia's famous tree shot on the 16th hole, followed by his enthusiastic celebration, seemed to overshadow Tiger's steady play. The media attention lavished on Garcia's theatrics didn't sit well with Tiger, who valued substance over style. Their relationship soured further during the 2000 season. Garcia began making subtle comments about Tiger's intimidation tactics and slow play. He suggested that Tiger received preferential treatment from officials, a claim that struck directly at Tiger's sense of fairness and integrity. But the real animosity developed over something much more personal than golf. Tiger discovered that Garcia had been making disparaging comments about his personal life in Spanish, thinking that Tiger wouldn't understand. Unfortunately for Garcia, Tiger had been taking Spanish lessons. The private criticisms became public knowledge, and Tiger's response was swift and merciless. During their next encounter at the Players' Championship, Tiger's demeanor toward Garcia shifted completely, gone were the cordial nods and professional courtesy. Instead, Tiger treated Garcia with cold indifference, never acknowledging his presence and timing his movements to create maximum psychological pressure. Garcia later admitted that playing with Tiger became a mental battle he couldn't win. The Spaniard's once confident swagger disappeared whenever he found himself in contention with the American. Their head-to-head record tells the story. Tiger dominated their important encounters with ruthless efficiency. Phil Mickelson occupies a unique position in Tiger's gallery of rivals. Their relationship existed in shades of grey rather than black and white hatred, but the underlying tension was unmistakable. Mickelson, the left-handed fan favorite, represented everything Tiger was not: approachable, emotional, and beloved by galleries. The media constantly portrayed their rivalry as a contrast in personalities. Phil was the people's champion, while Tiger was the calculating perfectionist. This narrative bothered Tiger more than he ever publicly admitted. He saw Mickelson's popularity as unearned, based more on charisma than championship performance. Their defining moment came at the 2001 Masters. Both players were in contention during the final round, and the tension between them was evident to television viewers. Tiger's laser focus contrasted sharply with Phil's more animated approach. When Tiger ultimately prevailed, his celebration seemed directed more at Mickelson than at the achievement itself. But who else found themselves in Tiger's crosshairs during golf's golden era? Vijay Singh's inclusion on this list stems from one of golf's most prolonged Cold Wars. The Fijian's methodical approach and incredible work ethic made him Tiger's most persistent challenger during the early 2000s. Singh's rise to world number one in 2004 represented the first serious threat to Tiger's dominance. The animosity began with Singh's comments about Tiger's commitment to the game. He suggested that Tiger's off-course interests, including his corporate partnerships and personal brand building, detracted from his focus on golf. These comments struck a nerve with Tiger, who prided himself on his preparation and dedication. Singh's criticism went deeper than golf strategy. He questioned Tiger's authenticity, suggesting that the young star was more interested in fame than in pure competition. For Tiger, who viewed golf as his life's defining pursuit, these comments were tantamount to questioning his identity. Their rivalry intensified when Singh overtook Tiger in the world rankings. The changing of the guard was brief, but it represented a crack in Tiger's armor that other players noticed. Singh's disciplined approach and relentless practice schedule became a template for challenging Tiger's supremacy. Tiger's response was characteristically focused. He studied Singh's game with the intensity of a chess master analyzing an opponent's strategy. Every weakness, every pattern, every tendency was catalogued and exploited. When Tiger reclaimed the #1 ranking, he made sure Singh understood that the brief interruption had been noted and corrected. David Duval's place on Tiger's list stems from their amateur days and carried into professional golf with surprising intensity. Duval, the introspective former world #1, represented a different kind of threat to Tiger's dominance. His analytical approach and mental toughness made him a formidable opponent during his prime years. The foundation of their mutual dislike was laid during junior golf tournaments. Both players were prodigies, but their approaches to the game were diametrically opposed. Tiger was the natural athlete with infinite confidence, while Duval was the cerebral player who relied on preparation and course management.
At that time,
their professional rivalry reached its peak during Duval's brief stint at world #1 in 1999. For 15 weeks, Duval occupied the position that Tiger considered his birthright. The displacement was brief but significant, representing the first time Tiger had been dethroned since his meteoric rise began. Tiger's resentment toward Duval was subtle but persistent. He never openly criticized the former #1, but their interactions were notably cool. Tournament officials and fellow players noticed that Tiger's preparation intensified whenever Duval was in contention. The psychological aspect of their rivalry was fascinating. Duval's stoic demeanor and sunglasses-wearing persona created an air of mystery that seemed to frustrate Tiger. Unlike other opponents who showed emotion, Duval remained unreadable, making him harder to intimidate or manipulate. But wait, there's more to this story of professional animosity. Ernie Els, the gentle giant from South Africa, might seem an unlikely candidate for Tiger's hatred list, but their relationship was more complex than public perception suggested. Els possessed the physical tools and mental composure to challenge Tiger consistently, making him a perpetual thorn in Tiger's side. Their rivalry was defined by Els's ability to remain calm under pressure, a quality that seemed to frustrate Tiger's psychological warfare tactics. When Tiger attempted to intimidate opponents through his intense stare or calculated delays, Els remained unaffected, continuing his steady approach regardless of Tiger's presence. The animosity peaked during major championships where both players were in contention. Els's smooth swing and effortless power provided a stark contrast to Tiger's more manufactured perfection. This natural ability bothered Tiger, who had worked tirelessly to develop his skills through countless hours of practice. Tiger's competitive nature couldn't tolerate the suggestion that golf came easier to anyone than it did to him. Els's relaxed demeanor and natural swing represented everything Tiger had to work to achieve. The South Africans' major championship victories felt particularly galling because they demonstrated that Tiger's intense approach wasn't the only path to success. Adam Scott's position on Tiger's list represents a generational shift in professional golf rivalries. The young Australian was often compared to Tiger during his early career, praised for his swing mechanics and mental approach. These comparisons irritated Tiger, who saw Scott as an unproven player receiving undue attention. Their relationship soured during Scott's breakthrough years. The Australian's success at prestigious tournaments, combined with his model looks and articulate interviews, made him a media darling. Tiger, who had grown accustomed to being the tour's primary focus, found Scott's rising profile threatening. The turning point came when Scott hired Tiger's former caddy, Steve Williams. The decision was seen as a direct challenge to Tiger's authority and influence. Williams had been instrumental in Tiger's success, and his defection to Scott's camp was viewed as both a professional and personal betrayal. Tiger's response to Scott's rising profile was swift and decisive. He began targeting the Australian during practice rounds, making subtle comments about experience and championship pressure. The psychological campaign was designed to undermine Scott's confidence before it could fully develop. But the most surprising name on Tiger's hatred list might be the next one. Ian Poulter's inclusion stems from his outspoken nature and willingness to criticize Tiger publicly. The flamboyant Englishman never hesitated to voice his opinions about Tiger's behavior, slow play, and treatment of other players. These comments created a rift that extended beyond normal competitive rivalry. Poulter's criticism focused on Tiger's perceived arrogance and lack of sportsmanship. He publicly questioned Tiger's commitment to the Ryder Cup and suggested that the American was more concerned with individual achievements than team success. These comments struck at Tiger's sense of patriotism and competitive integrity. Tiger's animosity toward Poulter was evident in their head-to-head encounters. The normally composed champion became visibly agitated when paired with the Englishman. Their matches were marked by tension and barely concealed hostility, creating uncomfortable viewing for television audiences. The rivalry extended to social media, where Poulter continued his criticism of Tiger's various controversies. Tiger, who rarely responded to public criticism, made exceptions for Poulter, engaging in subtle but pointed exchanges that revealed the depth of their mutual dislike. The final name on Tiger's hatred list is perhaps the most controversial, Steve Stricker. Their relationship deteriorated due to Stricker's role in Tiger's Ryder Cup struggles and his subsequent criticism of Tiger's team leadership. Stricker suggested that Tiger's intense personality created division within the American team. These comments touched on Tiger's deepest insecurities about leadership and team dynamics. Tiger had always excelled in individual competition, but struggled with the collaborative aspects of team events. Stricker's public criticism exposed this weakness in a way that Tiger found unforgivable. Their final confrontation came during a President's Cup event, where Tiger's captaincy was questioned by team members, including Stricker. The public nature of the criticism damaged Tiger's reputation as a leader and created lasting resentment between the two players. Looking back at Tiger's career, these rivalries and animosities shaped him as much as his victories. The players he hated drove him to higher levels of excellence, forcing him to continually evolve his game and mental approach. They were unwitting partners in creating the legend that Tiger Woods became. Each relationship on this list tells a story about competitive drive, ego, and the price of greatness. Tiger's hatred wasn't petty or small-minded. It was the fuel that powered his relentless pursuit of perfection. These 10 players didn't just challenge Tiger on the golf course, they challenged his very identity as the sport's dominant force. In the end, Tiger's animosity toward these players revealed as much about his character as his 15 major championships. The hatred was real, intense, and ultimately productive, driving him to achievements that redefined what was possible in professional golf.